You're listening to Rebel Hearts Rising, where we believe your darkest hour holds the key to awakening depth and profound inner wisdom. I'm Tam Burke, and I created this to remind you that when your heart wants to shut down, that's your call to rise, like a phoenix from the ashes. What makes this unique is that every episode is paired with a guided meditation to help awaken your intuition and heal on deeper layers. Together, we'll turn pain into power. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Rebel Hearts Rising. This is episode 5. Being a beginner fucking sucks, okay? I hate it. And even in this podcast, I've had to be a beginner, right? I've had to get uncomfortable. And also, y'all, thank you so much for your DMs. It means the world to me when y'all message me and tell me how much the podcast has been landing and hitting and how you guys have been enjoying the meditations. Like, it really means the world. Especially as I'm evolving publicly, right? Like episode 50 is not going to be the same as episode 1, and episode 100 is not going to be the same as episode 50. And damn if it isn't a rebel-hearted thing to really let yourself publicly evolve. And today I actually want to look at being a beginner through the lens of golf. If y'all know me, especially if y'all know my man, he's obsessed with golf. He's been playing since he was... I don't actually know that, but probably like 30 some years, you know? And somewhere along the way, we realized, emphasis on we, that we would have a really good time playing golf together, especially as we age and we could travel and, you know, go to different golf courses. If you know your girl, I'm what I call like fit, not athletic. I can lift weights, I can run, hell, I can do handstands, I can balance on my hands, all kinds of stuff. Putting a sport object in my hands and then getting that object to hit another object, freaking terrible. Seriously, like hand-eye coordination, proprioception, where my body is in time and space, awful. And I like to consider myself a high-achieving, speaking of being a beginner, gotta reset my mic. I like to consider myself a high-achieving woman, right? Some of y'all know I graduated high school at 16, college at 20. At 25, I had 5 years of professional experience and my MBA. Like, I am what I call a GSD, a get-shit-done woman. And when we become beginners, we have a little bit of a death of the expert, right? That high-achieving, having it all together, perfectionist, bye! Because you just can't do that as a beginner. Your girl has taken golf lessons, got a little bit better. And for me, one of the worst parts is that you have to golf in front of other people. I guess similar to this podcast, it's happening in front of other people, but I'd like to bring you on a little journey about a really embarrassing golf experience that I had a few years ago. And I actually almost quit golf after this, but because my man loves it, because I knew it was an investment in the longevity of our relationship, I decided to continue. So we were in Florida on one of my family's family vacations, and we were playing an executive course. I'm actually not entirely sure what that even means. I think it means it's like 18 holes, but it's not quite like a 72. I think it's like 60. If you don't know what I'm talking about, truly doesn't matter. It's easier than a regular golf course. And also because of my dyslexia and to bring some play into golf, I don't call them golf clubs, I call them golf sticks. I just think it's more fun that way. And so whenever we're going somewhere, I'm like, babe, do you have my sticks? He's like, yeah, I have your clubs. Okay, so maybe you know all about golf. If you don't, golf is typically played with 4 people to a hole. And like, that's how you move through the golf courses as a little group. And we were partnered with 2 other men at this executive golf course in Florida. And your girl started sweating. First of all, I've had a little bit of a turbulent past with golf. Your girl was a beer cart girl. Truly one of the best summer jobs that exists. Got to be outside, got to whip in a golf cart all summer. Should have known more about golf, did not. Truly just enjoyed the outdoors. I was violated on a golf course, called the cops. This man got arrested. So like already had a little bit of a wound and a sore spot around men in golf. Then there was another experience where Matt caught a man filming me on the golf course, and like, yo, my heart was just broken. Like, why are you filming me picking up balls and bending over? Like, ugh, so gross, so gross. So at this point, like, I'm very sensitive. I'm very tenderhearted around being on the golf course, being around men, just like doing athletic stuff around other people, men or women, doesn't matter. It's very uncomfortable for me. And we are, okay, the other thing, if you don't know, is golf is 18 holes, and it's exhausting. Like, I maybe have my stuff together a little bit through 9 holes. 18, oh my God, it's a marathon, and it's so much focus. And the thing that I truly hate, but am kind of starting to love, but kind of hate about golf is how technical it is, right? And so your girl, I like to consider myself, speaking of being a beginner, I keep bumping into this, gotta move it back. Okay. I like to consider myself like pretty strong, you know, but I can't actually put my strength behind my golf swing until I'm making contact. I can hear Matt in my ear, make contact. It's all about good contact. So 9 holes, making pretty good contact. You know, like the discomfort is starting to wear off. I'm finding my flow, right? And then all of a sudden, hole 17, I do what I call a twirly whirl. So keeping your head down in golf is one of the most important things. Like, you have to see what you're hitting. But because of the way golf moves and the way you're moving your body through golf, it's really easy to not look down and to want to look where the ball is going. And so I was just tired. I was getting ahead of myself, you know, and also my competition was sneaking in, right? Like, how often do we compare our chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20? And especially being new on the golf course, almost everyone is better than me. Like, it sucks. It's so embarrassing. It makes me want to quit. You know, it creates this inner critic of self-doubt, right? And when you have all of these voices talking inside of your head, doing something highly technical like golf gets way harder. And the swirly whirl. So essentially, I swang, didn't hit the ball, and I swang with such force that my body spun in a 360-degree motion. Like, looked at Matt like, what's going on? The guys are obviously laughing because it's funny. It is genuinely funny. And I just have so much internal shame. Like, I'm so embarrassed at this point. I can feel my face flushing. I can feel myself getting super hot. And I'm just like really embarrassed at this point. And I'm like, well, you know, sorry. Okay. Now the inner critic gets louder. Can't miss a second time, right? I can start to hear my freaking heartbeat in my ears. And if y'all know, I'm a panter. Like, when I get nervous, my breath, I'm just like, it's too much. So I'm standing over this golf ball after my twirly whirl, and all of these thoughts keep coming up. Like, how I don't really feel safe on a golf course, how it's like real discomfort to keep showing up, especially when you suck, and how it feels like all I want to do is control the ball. And the more you control your swing, actually, like, the worse that you make it, right? Because again, I don't understand golf completely, but there's essentially at some point like setting your body up in the right place to let go and move with like the ventrifical, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like getting yourself to move through the air with your club. And it's just so uncomfortable to have such loud, like essentially inner critic shit talking. And this is something that I get to look at in my own life a lot. I talk about in my yoga practice with my yoga students is like, what's happening with our inner thoughts? Are we being our best cheerleader? Are we talking to ourselves like a best friend would, like someone who admires and respects us? Or are we talking to ourselves with the lens of perfection? And before I get to what happens next, I also want to talk about why a lot of us have masks of perfection, which is that first thing, a lot of us were raised in the school system where there are grades, right? Like literally A through F, and it's a finite game. You pass, you fail. You get an A, you get a B, right? It's like very clear what success looks like. And the problem that I find in a lot of success-oriented outcomes is that it removes the aspect of play. And play is what keeps things really light. It's what makes the twirly whirl super fun. It's what makes it actually the funniest thing that happened on the golf course and can turn into this like place of joy and laughter rather than this like deep guttural shame that I started to feel. And this is why doing something that's new or even like getting back out there, y'all, raise your hand, which is pretty much everyone, if you've had your freaking heart broken and you've still dated after. Like, to put yourself out there, to start anew, to have the courage to really move into, God, being uncomfortable and leaning more into trust and hoping for the best. And also, how often have you been in a place of fear and from that your energetics created fear, right? And it's the same way where, you know, I'm standing over the ball for the second time after my twirly whirl and I'm just like, oh my God, please, please, please. So I go to hit the ball again. The ball is here. I hit like way behind the line, the ball. I take a huge chunk out of the grass, like giant. My body like vibrates because I hit the ground so hard. At this point, I'm having a straight up meltdown inside, maybe even outside, right? Who's to say? Because I pretty much blacked out after this point because I was so uncomfortable. And this is where it's brave to be seen in doing something new, to be fumbling, to still return, to get back on the horse after you were flung off. I was actually flung off of a horse in like 5th grade. It was very scary. My mom made me get back on. I was crying the whole time. Turns out your girl can still ride a horse because of that, right? It's like if something scary happens and we vow to ourselves that we're never going to do it again, that's the last imprint that we leave in our body. And so this is what happens when we choose to find growth over perfection, when we choose discomfort over comfort. And the other thing that I found is that being a beginner is a huge spiritual initiation, because as our identity melts, as I no longer hold on to this expert, the high achieving woman, the get shit done girl, right? And I just let myself be who I am. I let myself be more in my feminine energetics than my masculine. So if you're not familiar with this, I love masculine and feminine energetics. As a human, regardless of how we identify in our bodies or in our sexual orientation, all of us have feminine and masculine energetics inside of us. Masculine is mission, drive, direction, right? Like you've got a goal in mind, you're going after it. It's that kind of achieving energy. Feminine energy is the art of play. It's actually the art of being instead of doing. And so when we're in feminine energetics, we fall in love with the process over the result. But that actually goes right against our, like, the way society teaches us to move. And I think that's something that I really find to be quite humble about being a beginner, is that we choose to reclaim our humanity over hustle culture, over getting things right. And it is that humility that comes into play that actually allows us to increase our capacity. And I find this a lot in intuitive development as well. We're going to get to my third strike in a minute, but just paint a picture for, I find so many people don't train their intuition because they don't want to start. They don't want to fail. They're afraid that they might not have gifts. And the thing is, you got to feel the fear and do it anyways. Every book starts at chapter 1. And if we're constantly comparing ourselves to someone else's chapter 20 or 100, we'll never get started. And so what if, and this is what I've decided with the podcast, y'all are going to watch me suck it up for a while, right? I don't know how many times I hit the mic today. And it's just being okay with not being perfect. It's dropping the mask of needing to have it all together and slipping into, the knowing that actually perfect people aren't fun. Like, no one likes to be around a perfect person. And actually, it doesn't even exist. And so it's a farce. And so when we have the courage to go to therapy or get a coach and open ourselves up to vulnerability, or perhaps you're deciding to switch your career or your industry and you start lower, I'm using air quotes for those of you who are just listening, than you were in your current job or role. And it feels like a real rebel-hearted moment to decide that regardless of how uncomfortable it is, we're actually letting ourselves live. It's like we're so afraid to live. We're so afraid to make mistakes and fail. But it actually is our failures that allow us to gain so much information. And so what would happen if you weren't afraid of failing? And like golf, what would happen if you weren't afraid of failing in front of other people? And like this podcast, what if you put yourself out there to publicly evolve without needing things to be perfect? It's uncomfortable. But this is where we also get to develop ourselves. This is where we also create strength in the muscle of vulnerability. Because I'm going to take you back a moment. Matt and I, my partner, are going to celebrate 12 years this year. And I think maybe in year 2 in our relationship, we realized that we could be more vulnerable with each other. And I said to him, I'm like, babe, what if we did Vulnerability Tuesdays? And he's like, I think you're missing the point. I think it's about folding in vulnerability all the time. And that's a skill that takes muscular endurance to be able to, those vulnerability hangovers, right? And that's exactly what was happening after my second shot. Like, I was about to cry in front of Matt and these guys, and I looked at him. I felt like a cartoon, you know, when their eyes get all big with tears and it's like beating and it's about to be like, ah! And I look at him and he's like, you've got this. Keep your head down. He always says that, and it's like really triggering to me because I'm like, no, right? I just can't make my body do it. And so then I'm more in my head. And that's the exact thing that holds us back. Y'all know, if you've been listening to the past episodes, that I was super in my head about this podcast too. I watched the first few episodes and I was like, okay, I think they're great for somewhere to start. I showed them to a client who's working with me and she's like, they're great, and it's not the fullest version of you. It's not the version of you that I get in voice memos that is a little valley girl and a lot of excitement and a super cheerleader. And so I decided to do something differently on this podcast. What if I let more of myself be seen? What if in all my excitement, I knocked this freaking microphone 12 times? What if this episode just straight sucks? Being a beginner sucks, and what if this episode sucks? And it's the placement that we put on what we make things mean. What did I make it mean that I did a twirly whirl and then hit the ground super far away from the ball after hitting or not hitting the ball twice? What do you make it mean when you mess up parenting and you have this heartbreaking moment where you're like, damn, I could have done better? What do you make it mean when you realize you're in your 30s and you'd like to make more friends? Oh, side note, let's talk about this. So, I was in Longmont, small town. I'm back in a city, loving it. And I decided to make some more friends here. I have some friends from when I was in Charlotte before, but I want to widen my network. I just want to meet new people. And so I found something called, I hope I don't butcher this, I think it's called Party of 8. And 8 women get set up on a blind date, and you get to choose like your price range, and they set dinner after that. Your girl loves fancy bougie dinner, so I clicked the most expensive price range. Ooh, that was uncomfortable, let me tell you. When I was like picking clothes out of my closet, and I love my clothes, I was like, this one makes me look too hippie. This one makes me look too slutty. This one makes me look too this. And it's like, to who? To who? And it's just discomfort. It's vulnerability. It's how we might be seen. It's first impressions. It's going on first dates, blind dates with girlfriends or guys. It's moving to a new city. And if we're lucky and we live a full life, we get to experience all of these things. And that's where, what if we all committed to just letting ourselves suck at something before we decided to shine? What if we committed to a project and decided, I'm just going to suck for 6 months. That's how I started this. I'm going to do this for 6 months. I'm going to commit to a time frame because, at some point your girl would want to back out. And I see how I grow, and I see the skills that I gain, and I see how I get to develop myself. What's the worst thing that happens when we're a beginner? That we get scared and that we decide not to do it again. But the best thing that happens is the spiritual initiation into not needing to have all of these masks. To me, being a beginner, we get to see how many layers of false protections that we've created. We get to see the way that we want to be perceived. We get to actually be honest with ourselves about the way that we lie to ourselves. And the first time that I heard that, I was like, I don't lie to myself. And I lied to myself for so long. I was like, not me. I don't lie to myself. Definitely not. And then one day on a walk with my dog, I realized, ooh, okay, the moment you think that you don't lie to yourself, you're lying to yourself in that moment. And so actually being a beginner happens in all stages of life. It happens in all places of life. And actually, the more comfortable that we become with being a beginner, with sucking at something, the more we come back to our truth. The more that we really get to relax into our own body and be really comfortable and be in play and joy and love the process instead of needing to achieve the result because of what we need that to mean about ourselves. And I always like to tie everything we do back to intuition and energetics. And the energetics of a woman or a man, a human being who's okay with being a beginner, damn, they have some potency behind them. Because ultimately, they're not afraid of themselves. They're not afraid of what it makes them mean and what it says about them if they fail. I say all of this, and I'm going to start playing golf again. After my face surgery, I couldn't bend over for a while, so playing golf is obviously out because if you can't hear Matt's voice already, keep your head down. And I'm nervous, truly. And so I can sit here and talk about all of this stuff and talk about these spiritual ideas. And the truth behind all of it is it comes in practice. And so the decision to be brave, the decision to keep moving forward even though you're scared, the decision to keep going back to the golf course even though I've had some really uncomfortable moments there. That's what being rebel-hearted is all about. And that's what creates a life worth living. And that frequency around someone who chooses discomfort, who decides that through it all that they're going to show up, that's power. I am in the coaching industry, right? And so we see the phrase a lot like, give your power away, give your power away. Well, what does it actually mean to claim your power? And to me, it means not being afraid of yourself. And the frequency, the potency, the magnetism of somebody who doesn't care about what it means if they fail, that's the highest level. So I'm really excited about the meditation because we're going to open ourselves up into the deeper layers of vulnerability. Like an onion, like in the Shrek movie, we're going to peel back the layers to come back to our true essence. And we're going to choose growth over comfort. I'll see you there.